Hello and welcome to the fourth Speak British English live stream. If you're there watching, then please leave a comment. Just introduce yourself, tell me your name, tell me where you come from, tell me about your English goals, tell me about how you found this channel, tell me about your favorite videos on this channel. And if you have any questions about English grammar, English pronunciation, British culture, or anything else at all, then please leave a comment. Okay. So in today's video, I'm going to look at some English writing that was sent to me by one of my subscribers. Okay. So let's take a look at what we've got here. Okay, so this is something submitted by Guillermo. Guillermo, if you're watching, thank you very much for your submission. So we've got two little pieces here. We've got something that he actually sent to me last week, and then we've got something new that he sent me. Okay, hope you can see that properly. So let's just take a look. Hello, I see I've got a comment from someone. Okay, I don't really know what your name is. It just says MCH. So if you could tell me your name, tell me a bit about yourself, tell me about your English goals, tell me about how you discovered this channel, tell me about your favorite videos on the channel, and ask me something. Ask me anything about British English, grammar, pronunciation, British culture, anything you want. Okay? Anyway, let's get on with it. So, so we've got a piece here called In the Workplace that Guillermo has submitted to me. So let's take a look. I used to work at a call center receiving English calls. Okay, receiving English calls. Now that's a little bit ambiguous, isn't it? Receiving English calls. Okay. Why is that ambiguous? Okay, anyone watching, please leave a comment and tell me why this is unclear. Okay, the issue is it's not clear what he means by English calls. He could mean either of two things. Okay, so if you can work out what the problem is here, if you can see why this is a little bit unclear, then please leave a comment with your explanation. Okay, so we'll come back to that in a moment. So, I was a customer service agent and the work environment wasn't lively. Okay, I was a customer service agent and the work environment wasn't lively. Okay, so this is a perfectly fine sentence. He's made 2 points. He's said that he was a customer service agent, and he's also said something about the work environment. Okay, it wasn't lively. Lively means exciting, interesting, busy. Now, that's fine, but I would say that there is a little problem with this sentence, which is that the two parts of the sentence are not really related. You see, he said, I was a customer service agent, and the work environment wasn't lively. They're not really related points. So maybe it would have been better, Guillermo, simply to say that you were a customer service agent in the previous sentence. Okay? I used to work at a call center as a customer service agent receiving English calls. Okay, and I'm still waiting for someone to leave a comment regarding English calls. If you're watching, please tell me why it is a little bit unclear what he's written here, English calls. But yes, looking at this sentence, it's perfectly correct. It's just that these two sections, I was a customer service agent and the work environment wasn't lively, these two sections don't really have any connection to each other. Okay. So yes, he could have put this part in the previous sentence, and then this part seems to go more with the next sentence, you see. The work environment wasn't lively. For that matter, it was depressing. The call center's environment tends to be way grey. So yes, I would have put these two parts into one sentence. So then the first sentence could be something like, I used to be a customer service agent at a call center. And then this sentence could be, the work environment wasn't lively. For that matter, it was depressing. Okay, and you could connect these two parts using a semicolon, okay, like this. Okay, for that matter. Okay, good. This is a good use of the expression for that matter. It just means on that subject, and it's used in exactly this way. So this is a good example. You make a statement and then you say something that's more extreme. So it wasn't lively. That's the first statement. And then he's gone on and said something more extreme. It was depressing. Okay, so that's good. So it wasn't lively. For that matter, it was depressing. And here, your punctuation should be a bit stronger. So if we take this as the beginning of the sentence, for that matter, it was depressing, comma, the call center's environment tends to be way grey. So I would use a stronger punctuation mark. Like you could use a colon because you're explaining, you're elaborating on what you said before. So here you say it's depressing, and then you give a bit more information about that. I do not like this though. This is bad. Okay, please do not say things like this. Way grey. I mean, grey is a color, but by the way, it's spelt with an E. Okay. And I suppose what you mean by way is just very. It's very grey. But I don't like this. It's true that Americans in the past, probably in the 70s, used to use the word way to mean very. Like, that's way cool, something like that. But this is not a style of English that you should use, okay? So, yeah, say something like, the call center's environment tends to be very boring, or something like that, okay? Very boring. Here, when you say the call center's environment, do you mean the particular call center you worked at, or do you mean call centers generally? It's not entirely clear. I was a customer service, for that matter, it's depressing. The call center's environment tends to be... You see, the reason it's a little confusing is that you're obviously not talking really about... You're not talking about a recent experience. You're talking about the past. I used to work. But now you're using the present tense. The call center's environment tends to be grey. So you're talking in the present tense about a place that you used to work at. So that suggests that perhaps you're talking generally about call centers rather than talking specifically about that call center. Okay, so it's a little unclear. So here, I liked my co-workers though. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Again, you could have put this in the previous sentence. You could have said, the work environment wasn't lively. For that matter, it was depressing. I'm not sure if you really need this part. So for that matter, it was depressing. I liked my co-workers though. Okay, if you're saying though, then you can put that in the sentence with the previous point. That's the purpose of that word. Okay, I could say something like, I like tea, I don't like coffee though. Okay, I don't need a new sentence. I like tea, I don't like coffee though. It's all one thought, you see. Okay, so I'm still waiting for some comments. Please leave a comment if you're watching. I don't know who's watching. I've only had one comment so far from Mch. Okay, Mch. I assume Mch is not really your name. So please tell me your name and tell me a bit about yourself. Where do you live? What are your English goals? How long have you been learning English? What do you think of my channel? Do you have any questions about your English? And anyone else who's watching, please leave a comment. Okay. So, getting back to it. Where are we? I liked my co-workers though. Okay, that's good. I liked my co-workers though. So, next sentence. Despite the fact it was stressful sometimes, I thoroughly enjoyed the experience of being able to talk with native English speakers. Okay, that is an excellent sentence. That's the best sentence so far. Despite the fact it was stressful sometimes, I thoroughly enjoyed the experience of being able to talk with native English speakers. Good. So this sounds very good to me. Just be careful about using the word experience. I assume that in this case, you just mean when you say the experience, you just mean this thing that happened. Okay. So experience can be used in a couple of different ways. Experience as a countable noun, 1 experience, 2 experiences, 3 experiences. As a countable noun, experience means just something that happens. Okay, and I assume that's the way you mean it here. But experience can also be used as an uncountable noun, a math noun. Okay, just experience as opposed to an experience. And in this context, experience means something like knowledge or wisdom. It's the knowledge that you gain through experience, through practice. So here, this sentence sounds good, it sounds fine, because you're just talking about something that happened to you, the experience of being able to talk with native English speakers. But if, Guillermo, if you actually meant the learning experience, like the knowledge that you gained through this practice, the practice of speaking with native English speakers, if you mean experience in that sense, then you would need to rephrase it a bit. You could say something like, despite the fact it was stressful sometimes, I thoroughly enjoyed the experience I gained, or the experience I got. Okay? But what you've written seems okay. Okay, so next sentence. Before taking calls, we were in training so that we could get the work done to a higher standard and get to know our new colleagues and learn from them. Okay, so I'll come back to that in a second. I just want to say hello to Tom Takumi. Okay, Tom Takumi. Yes, he says, hello from the Philippines. What do you think of the Philippines? So presumably you've learned somehow that I actually live in the Philippines myself. Okay, yes, I like the Philippines. I live in town. I live in Manila, and yeah, I like it. It's hot and sunny, which is a lot better than the UK. People are nice and friendly. I don't really like all the stupid lockdowns and the masks that you have to wear when I have to wear a mask when I'm walking my dog. I don't understand that. But yes, I like the Philippines a lot. So, Tom Takumi, if that is your name, if you have any questions about English, then please do ask me. I know that as a Filipino, assuming you are Filipino, you probably have good English. But if you're not Filipino, then tell me where you're from, because Tom Takumi sounds Japanese, but I have a feeling that's not really your name. Anyway, so where are we? I thoroughly enjoyed the experience. Before taking calls, right, so this sentence has got too many ands, too many different parts. Before taking calls, we were in training so that we could get the work done to a higher standard and get to know our new colleagues and learn from them. Okay? So it's a bit of what we call a run-on sentence. Okay, this can just go on forever. And da 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 da, and da 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 da, and da 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 da. Okay, you've got to stop at some point. So how could we make that better? Before taking calls, we were in training. If you say in training, that implies that you're currently in training right now. Okay, training is the continuous tense, the progressive tense, whatever you want to call it. When you use ing with a verb, like doing, that implies that it's happening right now. So better just use the past tense or the past perfect. Before taking calls, we had training, as opposed to we were in training. Or we were trained. Just say that, we were trained. Okay, the thing is that training it can also be used as a gerund, meaning that it's a noun referring to a particular activity. So, but saying in training, that's usually used in the present, like I'm currently in training. It sounds a bit strange to say I was in training before taking calls. Just say I did training, or I had training, or something like that. Okay. So another comment. Oh, he deleted it. Yeah, Tom Takumi. I don't know why you deleted that comment, because it looked all right to me, but leave another comment if you want to correct yourself. Anyway, before taking calls, we had training, or we were trained, so that we could get the work done to a higher standard. Maybe then start a new sentence. Say something like, training also allowed us to get to know each other and learn from each other. Something like that. Okay, you can always just make two sentences. I worked here. Here? I would use there. I worked there, because it's in the past. You're looking back into the past. Okay, I worked there. Here implies the present, where you are now. Okay, whereas there is where you were in the past. Okay. So I worked there for a short while when I was doing my university. When I was doing my university. That sounds okay, when I was doing my university. But it would sound a bit better to say something like, when I was doing my degree, when I was doing my undergraduate degree, or my master's degree, or whatever degree it was. Okay. Or simply when I was at university. Okay, but it sounds okay to say doing my university. I worked here for a short while when I was doing my university, doing my degree or whatever. When I worked at the call center, I used to get on well with my colleagues, so I used to have a good time in the office with them. So when I worked at the call center, I used to get on well with my colleagues, so I used to have a good time in the office with them. Well, the problem is that if you say something like, when I worked at the call center, you don't really need to say I used to. Generally, I think we use I used to when we're not being specific about the time. So I could say something like, I know a lot about wine because I used to work at a restaurant. Okay, I used to work at a restaurant, so I know a lot about wine. Okay, so I'm not specifying the time. I'm not saying when it happened. I'm just saying that in the past, I worked at a restaurant. Okay, but here you've said, when I worked at the call center, I used to get on well with my colleagues. So it sounds okay, but I think it would sound better if you just said, when I worked at the call center, I got on well with my colleagues. Okay. When I worked at the call center, I got on well. Okay, so you can say here, got on well. When I worked at the call center, I got on well with my colleagues. And then, so I used to have a good time with them. Or so I used to have a good time in the office. Yeah, so I used to have a good time. Or when I worked at the call center, I got on well with my colleagues. Maybe say, so I had, just say that. So I had a good time with them. Okay, so I had a good time, something like that. Or we had a good time. Maybe we had a good time. When I worked at the call center, I got on well with my colleagues, so we had a good time. Yeah, maybe just stop there. So we had a good time, or we had a good time in the office. You see? But I don't think you need in the office, okay? Because we know where you are. You're at the call center. So maybe something like that. When I worked at the call center, I got on well with my colleagues, so we had a good time. You see, good time indicates, in this context, having fun. Okay, you had fun. There was lots of laughing and going out for drinks after work and maybe playing pranks on each other and just having fun. That's what a good time is. So it sounds good to say we had a good time. Okay, because it's a social thing. If you say I had a good time, well, it sounds okay, but it you're sort of isolating yourself. I had a good time. What were you doing having a good time by yourself? You know, so better to say we had a good time. Okay. Okay, so please leave a comment. Okay, if you're watching, then please leave a comment. Just say hello. Just say hello. Okay, it's nice for me to see that people are watching and interacting. Tom Takumi, you left another comment, but then you deleted it for some reason. I don't know why you did that. But anyone else watching, please leave a comment. I see who said hello, good afternoon, has not left another comment, so I still don't know what your name is. So please, anyone watching, leave a comment, tell me about yourself, and ask me any questions that you have. Okay. Hello, Sir William Ortiz. Hello, good morning on my side. Yes, hello and good morning to you too. I see you've called yourself Sir William Ortiz. Is William Ortiz your real name, or is that a reference to some historical character? The reason I ask is that in the UK, in British culture, the title Sir is reserved for knights, people who have been knighted. Okay, the Queen gets a sword and knights you. For example, Paul McCartney, he's knighted, so he's Sir Paul McCartney. Sir William. Okay, Sir William is your name. So you're telling me that your actual name is Sir, just like my name is John. So your parents call you Sir. That's interesting. Is that common in where you come from? Where is it you come from, by the way? What country are you in? Tell me more about that. And Tom Takumi says, I now live in Wiltshire. So Wiltshire is a place in the UK. I now live in Wiltshire. Yes, I'm half Filipino, half Japanese. Where our Filipino English can improve on. I like your videos. Well, where our Filipino English can improve on, that's not a very good sentence, is it? So you can improve that sentence, but we'll come to that, okay? That's a very good question. I've lived in the Philippines for a few years. My wife is Filipino. She speaks excellent English. Like many Filipinos, she's basically a native English speaker. But like many Filipinos, there are certain things she does which can be a bit confusing for English speakers who come from other countries. Okay, so that's an excellent question, and I will come to that in a minute. But yes, I'm very curious about Sir William. This is an interesting name, Sir. Anyway, leave a comment if you want to tell me more about that. And anyone else watching, please leave a comment. Tell me who you are. Tell me which videos of mine you like. Tell me how you found my channel or anything else. And if you've got any questions about English grammar or pronunciation or British culture or anything like that, then please leave a comment. Okay, so let's get back to the text. Can you see? Yes, you can. So, I like to work in a group environment because I enjoy learning from others and being able to socialize. Hello, Elavik Pernis, who says, hello, good evening from, is that the Philippines? From the PHL? Yes, Elavik, I remember you from last week, so I'm sure you're going to be contributing some nice stuff today. Okay, so I like to work in a group environment because I enjoy learning from others and being able to socialize. Okay, that's excellent. Very good sentence. I like to work in a group environment because I enjoy learning from others and being able to socialize. Okay, very good. However, I would say it depends on the work field, comma, owing to that, there are some jobs that can be done easily. That sentence is a little bit unclear, okay? So, Elavik, I see you've answered yes to my question about the Philippines. So it seems that we've got two Filipino people here because Tom Takumi, who commented just now, he's also Filipino, apparently, half Filipino, half Japanese. And I happen to actually live in the Philippines at the moment. I live in Manila. So I'm going to talk a bit later about some issues relating specifically to Filipinos. But let's just finish this bit first. Okay, so however, I would say it depends on the work field. So work field, it makes sense, but it sounds a bit strange. Could someone leave a comment with a suggestion about how this could be changed? Okay, what would sound better than work field? Okay, is there an expression, a phrase that we use in English that sounds a bit better than work field? Okay, so leave a comment if you can think of the answer. So, however, I would say it depends on the work field. Now, what's the problem with the punctuation? Has anyone got any idea what the problem is here with the punctuation? Leave a comment if you have an idea about the problem with this comma. Okay, owing to that, there are some jobs that can be done easily. Okay, so this part is a little bit unclear. Owing to what exactly? See, you said owing to that. Owing to what? However, I would say it depends on the work field. Owing to that, there are some jobs that can be done easily. I think what you're trying to say is that depending on the field, some jobs can be done more easily than others, okay? But it doesn't come across very well in that sentence. So Elavik has said type of work. Yes, type of work or field of work, okay? So work field is basically correct. It's just that it sounds a little bit strange because a native English speaker would say field of work, okay? There's no logical reason why it should be field of work and not work field. It's just what people say, okay? There's no rule there. There's no grammatical rule for you to remember or anything like that, okay? It's just that here the expression is field of work, okay? So, however, I would say it depends on the field of work. Now here, he had a comma, but the comma is not strong enough. You really need at least a semicolon, okay? But then this part doesn't really make sense. Owing to that, there are some jobs that can be done easily. Yeah. Yeah, this part is not clear. So I suggest, Guillermo, if you're listening, that you rewrite this part. Okay, this doesn't work right. Doesn't work well. So let's move on. Okay, hope you can still see. Yes. If I had the choice, so here we are. If I had the choice between working alone or working in a group environment, I would choose to work in a group environment because working with other people gives me the opportunity to learn more and continue to grow. Okay, that sounds pretty good to me. Let's take another look. If I had the choice between working alone or working in a group environment, I would choose to work in a group environment because working with other people gives me the opportunity to learn more and continue to grow. So this sentence is fine. No real problems. It's just that it could be, oops, sorry about that. It could be a little bit more concise, meaning you could say the same thing with fewer words. So let's think about how we could make that a bit more concise. So are we repeating ourselves here? If I had the choice between working alone or working in a group environment, I would choose to work in a group environment. So you see this repetition here. Group environment, group environment. Now, here is a really clever trick. So listen very carefully to what I'm saying. This is what I would do. This is what other native English speakers would do. If you're listing two or more things, let's just say you're listing two things. You can refer to the first thing or the second thing using the words former and latter. Okay, so let me give you an example. I could say, I have a daughter and a son. The former is 10. The latter is 12. Okay, the former meaning the daughter, because I said daughter first, and latter meaning the son, because I said son second. Okay, so I said I have a daughter and a son. Daughter and a son. The former, that's the daughter, is 10. The latter, the son, is 12. Okay, so this refers to the order in which I said them. Note that the son is older. The son is 12. So the son was born first, the daughter was born second, but that doesn't matter. That's irrelevant. All that matters is what I said, daughter and son. Okay, so I said daughter first, so I say the former to refer to the daughter and latter to refer to the son. Okay, latter is spelled L-A-T-T-E-R, just like later with an extra T. Okay, so here, Guillermo could have said, if I had the choice between working alone or working in a group environment, I would choose the latter. Okay, the latter, because working with other people gives me the opportunity to learn more and continue to grow. And here again, working with other people, you've repeated yourself. Working in a group environment, working with other people, it's the same thing, isn't it? Okay, so you don't really need to repeat yourself. So if I had the choice between working alone or working in a group environment, I would choose the latter because it would, or it gives, okay, just use a pronoun there. It gives, or it would give, okay, it gives me the opportunity, or would give me the opportunity. Or you could be more general. You could say it gives you, or gives one. Okay, one is more formal, but you is more sort of typical in everyday English, because it gives one the opportunity to learn more and continue to grow. The opportunity to learn, well, when you're learning, you're always learning more. So the word more is not really necessary here. Just say to learn. Okay, learning is a process of acquiring more information. So learn more doesn't really, it's just the more is kind of redundant. But that's okay. It's not wrong. You can leave it there, but just think, if you're trying to reduce the number of words, that's a word you could remove. So if I had the choice between working alone or working in a group environment, I would choose the latter because it gives one or you the opportunity to learn and continue to grow. And again, growing is a continuous process, so you don't really need that. You could just say to learn and grow. Okay, so let's look at these comments. Right, Kuala Kasir. I would choose the latter, precisely. I would choose the latter. That's exactly what I wrote. Very good. And so, William, so my family felt very special, so they named me Sir. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Good. So, yes, that's correct. It's not expected. I am the firstborn male after many attempts within my family generation. Everyone kept having girls. During my mum's pregnancy, there were complications. Okay, that's an interesting story. I have 3 older sisters, so I'm the first son, the only son. So, yes, I kind of relate to what you mean. Okay, so let's finish this part. What I don't like so much about working in a group is when there is a person who doesn't do its part of the work. Okay, so there's a simple mistake here. Someone comment with the mistake. Someone tell me what the mistake is, or tell me how we could correct this mistake. What I don't like so much about working in a group, I hope you can see that. Oh, hold on a second. Let me scroll up. I can. There we go. What I don't like so much about working in a group is when there is a person who doesn't do its part of the job. What's the mistake there? Someone leave a comment. What's the mistake? Okay. While you're thinking about that, I will look at the next sentence. I think that it's utterly important to get along well with your co-workers. Owing to that way, you establish better relationships with them, and this gives you mates to bank on and have each other's backs. Okay, again, this is a bit of a run-on sentence, okay, because it runs on and on and on and on like that, okay? I think it's utterly important, okay, sounds good, utterly important, to get along well with your co-workers. Owing to that way, yeah, so, right, so Koala has commented his instead of its, yes, of course. Okay, that's a silly mistake, isn't it? What I don't like so much about working in a group is when there is a person who doesn't do his part of the work, okay? And Elovic says use his or her or use their if you don't mind singular they. Right, precisely. Very good answer, that. You should be an English teacher. Yes, traditionally you should use his. That's really the sort of traditionally the correct answer, because his is used as the general singular pronoun. But nowadays, a lot of people don't really feel comfortable using the his in that way, because it sounds like you're just sort of talking about men. So a lot of people prefer to use they and their, okay, in this kind of context. That's probably what you're used to. If you're used to listening to people like me speaking English, that's probably what you've heard. So yes, what I don't like so much about working in a group is when there is a person who doesn't do their part of the work. But as Elovic pointed out, you could use her. If you can use his, why not use her? Okay. But traditionally, his is used as the general pronoun. Personally, I quite like to use her sometimes. So I might have done that. I might have said, what I don't like so much about working in a group is when there is a person who doesn't do her part of the work. Personally, I quite like using the female pronoun in that way. I mean, why not? Why not? But yes, his is the traditional thing to use, the pronoun to use, but you could use their in this context, and it would sound fine. Okay, let's change this to his. I think that it's utterly important to get along well. Okay, let's just highlight this. To get along well with your co-workers. Owing to that way. So we talked about this last time. With owing, you have to be very careful. You can't just use it like because. So you'd have to say something like owing to the fact that way, okay? So I think that it's utterly important to get along well with your co-workers, owing to the fact that way you establish better relationships, okay? But it might be better just to say because, okay? So Guillermo, as I said last week, I think it's very good that you're pushing yourself to use new, more advanced words and expressions. So that's very good. So try to see that in this particular case, saying because works better. But this is how you get better, isn't it? So you try things and then you see how it works in certain contexts and not in others. Koala has written, hence instead of because is also possible. Right, that's very good. So I think that it's utterly important to get along well with your co-workers. Right, now, well, okay. I know what you mean, but hence would not work quite exactly correctly here. You would be better to use a word like thus, or because thus means something more like in that way. Hence is more like for that reason. I think it's utterly important to get along well with workers. Because you see, in this part, notice that in the first part of this sentence, he didn't say, hence use. He didn't simply say it's utterly important to get along well with co-workers. No, let me change that. Let me think about this for a second. So if he wanted to use hence, let me see. Let me try and come up with a sentence that's very similar but uses hence. So he might say, yeah, so Sir William Ortiz said with hence the flow wouldn't be quite right. Yes, you're right, but let me try and see if I can reconstruct this sentence using hence, because I think it's a really interesting idea that Koala has, and this is exactly how you get better at English. This is how you get better at writing and forming sentences. You take instead of using a conjunction like because, use a different conjunction, hence, but you have to rearrange everything else a little bit to make it work. So let me see. I would say something like good relations with your or having good relations with your co-workers is important. Hence, I think hence I think you should make an effort to be nice to them. Something like that. Right, as Koala says, of course, when we use hence, we would make some changes to get a coherent passage. Yes, exactly. And this is exactly the kind of exercise you want to do in order to get better. So let's see. So I would maybe change the order around, you see. Having good relations with your co-workers is important. Hence, I think you should make an effort to be nice to them, you see, because the cause and effect here is that it's important to get along with your co-workers, and for that reason, I have this opinion, okay? But it wouldn't work the other way around, because it would be like you're saying, I have a certain opinion, and therefore it's important to get along with your co-workers. But the importance of getting along with co-workers has got nothing to do with my opinion. My opinion is formed by reality. Reality is not formed by my opinion, okay? So that's something to think about. But thank you very much for that suggestion, because that's very interesting. So yes, in this particular sentence, as he wrote it, because I think works well, I think that it's utterly important to get along well with your co-workers, because that way you establish better relationships with them. And this gives you mates to bank on. So if you don't know, the expression bank on just means something like rely on for in case something goes bad in the future. And have each other's backs. Yeah, this last part doesn't quite work, does it? So to have someone's back means to be a trusted friend to that person. So that way you establish better relationships with them, and this gives you mates to bank on and have each other's backs. This gives you mates. If we just remove this for a second, this gives you mates to bank on. And so if we just say, this is essentially what he's written. This gives you mates to have each other's backs. You see, that doesn't really sound right, does it? This gives you mates to have each other's backs. Okay, just grammatically, it doesn't work. Okay, so be careful about that, Guillermo. That way you establish better relationships with them, and this gives you mates who have your back. You could say something like that. So this gives you mates to bank on who have your back. Okay, but note that bank on and have your back, they kind of mean the same thing, don't they? So you're repeating yourself. But I understand why you're doing that. It's because you're trying to practice using both expressions and see if you can put them together. And so that's understandable. But just realize that it's not a good thing to repeat yourself. Okay? If you're saying the same thing twice, it kind of suggests that you don't really understand what each expression means, because you didn't realize they mean the same thing. Okay? Okay, so I just want to talk about some points relating to Filipino English. Okay, now I've traveled quite a lot, and in my experience, the people of the Philippines have the best English anywhere in Asia. Okay, I suppose Singapore has good English. The thing is that although a lot of certainly people born in Singapore, Singaporeans, they speak fluent English. The thing is that they have this very strange accent, which is difficult for non-Singaporeans to understand. And of course, Singapore is full of people who are Chinese or Indian, who don't necessarily speak any English. Whereas in the Philippines, almost everybody speaks English at least reasonably well, and a lot of people speak English to the level of a native, or at least very well. And they speak it clearly with an accent that people can understand. Okay, so yes, I don't care what the official statistics say. I've traveled and I can tell you that the Philippines has the best English of any country in Asia, and is probably in the top 5 countries in the world for English, not including countries with not including England and its colonies. Obviously, England, in the UK, everyone speaks English. In America, which is originally a colony of England, people speak English. In Australia, so on. But not including those countries, the Philippines must be about, I don't know, number 3 or 4. The only countries where people speak English even better would be, I suppose, Scandinavian countries. There's Sweden, Denmark, Norway. People speak very good English there. But even there, I wouldn't say it's better than the Philippines. So I don't know. I think maybe Philippines might be number 1 in the world, actually, for countries that speak English as a second language. Anyway, let's talk about some mistakes that you hear Filipinos make. I probably won't remember everything because I haven't prepared something. So Sir William Ortiz says he has to leave, but he's enjoyed watching. So, yep. Thank you very much for your comments. It's very interesting, and I hope that you enjoy watching the rest of the video later. So, yes, I haven't prepared anything, so I might miss some things. But, okay, so the first thing that enters my mind regarding the Filipino English is the difference between like and would like, okay, or like and want. So let me see, just give me a second. So like and want. Oops. So it's a very common mistake for Filipinos to say something like, let's see if I make this a bit bigger. So a Filipino person might say, do you like beer? Do you like beer? Now, to me, as a British person, and to other people who speak English, the question, do you like beer, is just a general question about your taste, about what you like, about what you enjoy, about your preferences. Okay? Do you like beer? It's like saying, do you like Tom Cruise? Okay? Do you like Tom Cruise? Do you enjoy the movies of Tom Cruise? Okay. Do you like Spain? Do you like the country of Spain? But Filipino people will often say things like, do you like beer? And what they really mean is, would you like beer? Okay. Oops. Would you like beer? Or do you want beer? Okay. Now, I know the reason for this is because in the Filipino language, these words, the word that means like and want means both things, and it can be used in both ways. But in English, it doesn't work like that, and it is quite confusing. Okay. I know from experience. I remember I was staying with a Filipino guy, and I remember him saying to me, do you like beer? And without even thinking about it, I just sort of told him answer the question. Yeah, I like beer. And then he goes to the fridge and he gets a beer and he brings me a beer. And I was like, oh, thanks. And I was surprised because I didn't think he was asking me if I wanted a beer then. I thought he was just asking me if I like the taste of beer. Okay. So be careful about that. Don't say, do you like beer, when you mean, do you want beer? Want and like are not the same thing. Okay. The reason that you can say, would you like beer, but not do you like beer, if you're offering someone beer, is because would you is actually a hypothetical question. It's hypothetical. Okay. Okay. This is a hypothetical question. So what it means is something like, it's something like, if I gave you a beer, would you like it? Would you enjoy it? That's what it literally means. If you say, would you like a beer, or would you like beer? We say would you because we're sort of saying, if I gave you a beer, how would you feel? Would you be happy or sad? Okay. That's why you can ask a question in that way. Would you like beer? But if you say, do you like beer? That's just a general question about your preferences. Okay. I hope that's clear. If you're unclear about that, if you don't understand or you've got any questions about that, then please leave a comment. Okay. So another thing that I hear a lot in the Philippines is misuse of the word already. Okay. Already. So let me think of an example. So for example, let's say I'm ordering some delivery, some takeaway food, and I get a text from the delivery driver. He might say something like, "Sir, I'm already here. Sir, I'm already here." This is the kind of thing that a Filipino person would say. Now, this is really strange and confusing to a native English speaker like me, to a British person, to someone who's not Filipino. You see, when Filipinos say things like this, "I'm already here," they're just using the word already to kind of stress that they're here. So really, all he means is, I'm here. Okay, I'm here now. He means something like now. I'm now here. I am here now. But to a British person or any other native English speaker, it sounds strange because the word already is used to in a sort of contrasting way. So let me give you an example. If I might say to my wife, please pay the water bill. Okay, and then she might answer something like, oops. She might say something like, I already have. Okay, I already have. So she's saying already because she wants to contrast my request, which assumes that she hasn't done it. She wants to state that it's happened. Okay. Okay, so she's saying that contrary to what I think, actually it already has happened. Okay. So be careful about that. If you're Filipino, don't misuse already. It sounds really strange. Okay. Only use already if you're trying to say that something has happened before you, the person I'm talking to, before you think it had happened. I think of another good example. So yeah, sometimes this is quite confusing. Okay, so let me give you another example. Let's say, so for example, I remember I lived in a different building before, and I wanted to send a letter to the manager of the building. And so I wrote a letter, an email, and I sent it to the secretary who does the administration of the building. Okay, so I sent her this letter, this email, and then she replied and she said, I've already informed the manager of your complaint. Okay, so I was writing a complaint, and she said something like, I've already informed the manager of your complaint. Now, you see, this is a bit confusing for me because it implies that she informed the manager before I sent the letter. Okay, just like in my previous example, when I said, please pay the bill. Okay, if I say to my wife, please pay the bill, and she says, I've already done it, or something like that, that means that before we even had this conversation, she paid the bill. Okay, so it can be quite confusing if you do this wrong. Anyway, moving on. What's another thing? So we've talked about like and want. We've talked about already. Pronouns. You've got to be important about. You've got to be careful about that because my wife, for example, she speaks English to a native level, but she often gets pronouns wrong. So she'll use she to refer to a man or he to refer to a woman. And this can be really confusing. If I say something like, my brother visited my sister and then she went on holiday, well, it really sounds like my sister went on holiday. My brother visited my sister and then she went on holiday. Clearly, I'm talking about my sister. So if you mean your brother, you must say he. Okay, this is very important. You can really cause confusion by getting your pronouns wrong. Okay, that's a pretty obvious one, but my wife does that all the time, and it's confusing. I have to stop her and say, wait a minute, who's, and she's telling a story, and I'm getting very confused because she's using the wrong pronouns, and I don't know who she's talking about anymore. Okay, another thing you've got to be careful about is your tenses. So for example, something my wife, another thing my wife does is she'll say something like something like when I was, I don't know, when I was a kid, when I was a kid, let me think. Yeah, so she'll say something like, when I was a kid, where, I don't know, we were living in Manila. Okay, let's take this. It's not a very good example, but when I was a kid, we're living in Manila. Now, obviously, hopefully it's obvious that this is wrong because we're means we are. We are. When I was a kid, we are living in Manila. Obviously, that's wrong because it should be we were, something like that. We were living in Manila. We were living in Manila. You cannot contract we were into we're. We're does not mean we were. It only means we are. If you want to say we were, you have to say we were. Okay? We were cannot be contracted into we're. So yes, be careful about contractions like that. And be careful about your tenses. If you're talking about the past, use the past tense. Don't use the present tense. You can't say, when I was at school, I'm always late. When I was at school, I'm always late. Of course, that doesn't work. It's I was always late. Okay? You can't contract I was into I'm. Okay? I've got another comment here, a couple of comments. So it's not okay to say, do you like a glass of water? No, do you like a glass of water is wrong. It's would you like a glass of water? Because what you're saying is, if I was to give you some water, would you be happy about that? Okay, that's what you're asking. Would you like a glass of water? If I was to bring you some water, would you be happy? Okay, but do you like a glass of water? That basically is wrong. Okay, sometimes people will say things a little bit like that, but only in a very specific context. So I might say, do you like, I don't know, do you like a cup of coffee in the morning? So I can say something like that. Do you like a cup of coffee in the morning? But this is not me asking you if you want me to give you some coffee now. I'm just asking you about your daily habits. Do you like a cup of coffee in the morning? Yes, every morning I enjoy a cup of coffee. I like to drink coffee in the morning. So this is just a general question about a person's habits, about their preferences. But if you're offering someone something, it has to be would you like or do you want? Okay. Bells says, hi, sir. Well, hi to you, Bells. Please tell me a bit more about yourself. Tell me your name. Tell me where you come from. And if you've got any questions about English, then let me know. Right. Tom Takumi says, I make the same mistakes with he and she. Yeah. Okay. So if you do make that a mistake, just correct yourself. Okay. If you notice, then correct yourself, because it is confusing for the listener. It's confusing for the listener. If you say he, if you're talking about two people, in fact, even if you're only talking about one person, if I say something like, my brother visited me, then she left. Okay, this is confusing. If you say to me, my brother visited me, then she left, I don't know that you mean he left. I don't know. I can't read your mind. So I'm thinking, who's she? So I'm thinking there's some other person involved. And I'm thinking, well, wait a minute, hold on. She left. Who's she? Okay, it's confusing. Another thing I've just remembered. Now, this is a little bit tricky, and people get confused about this. Is the difference between here and there. Okay, so I think a lot of teachers teach this in a way which is too basic and isn't really correct. So a lot of teachers, I think, will say that here just means something close and there means something far away or something like that. But it's not as simple as that. So for example, if I'm watching TV with my wife, so by the way, with here, here is the equivalent of saying this, and there is the equivalent of saying that. Okay, so my wife might say something like, so let's say we're watching a certain TV show, we're watching a TV program, okay, on Netflix or something, and she might say something like, that's my favorite show. That's my favorite show. She'll say something like that. Oops. That's my favorite show. And I'll look at her and go, what? You mean this? You see, because she's thinking that the TV is distant. The TV is not here. The TV is there. So she's saying like that thing that's on the TV right now, that's my favorite show. But to me, that sounds very strange because if we're watching this show right now, then this is the show that we're involved in watching right now. Okay? It's like we're here in the show now. It's almost like we're part of the show because it's happening now. We're watching it now. So she should say, this is my favorite show. If she says that's my favorite show, I think she's talking about some other show. Maybe, maybe if you can imagine this, and maybe we're watching a TV show, right? And in the show, there's a character who's watching TV. And if my wife says, that's my favorite show, I would assume that she means the show that the character in the TV show that we're watching is watching. That, okay? Whereas if she says this, that would mean the show that we're actually watching now, okay? I hope that's clear. It's a bit of an advanced point that people get confused about. But basically, here, there, this, that, these are not simply to do with distance. Here does not mean something that's close. There does not mean something that's far. It's more conceptual than that. Okay. So another example is the difference between something like wear and put on. Okay. This is an important distinction. Oops. Keep on doing that. So, for example, if my wife and I are about to go out, she might say something like, I just need to wear shoes. I just need to wear shoes. Now, to me, that sounds very funny. I just need to wear shoes. That suggests that the appropriate thing for her to wear is shoes and nothing else. I just need to wear shoes. Like I only need to wear shoes. Okay? So I might say I need to wear a tie. Okay? Okay, let me give you a different example. Let's say I'm wearing a tie. You might say to me, John, why are you wearing a tie? And I would say, I need to wear a tie. I need to wear a tie because the restaurant has a dress code. Something like that. I need to wear a tie. So I'm already wearing a tie, but I'm saying I need to wear a tie. Okay? Because all I'm saying is that the required dress code, the dress code requires that I wear a tie. Okay? So if I say, you know, I need to wear shoes, well, let me think. You know, I might say, something like I might say in a public toilet you need to wear shoes, something like that. Okay, in a public toilet you need to wear shoes, but put on is different. Okay, put on means it refers to the action of taking that item like a shoe or something, or a hat or a jacket, and putting it on you. So if my wife said, I just need to put on shoes, well, this is correct. Okay, I just need to put on shoes. So it's like, hurry up, let's go. And she says, I just need to put on shoes. That's correct. What she's saying is that right now she's not wearing any shoes. She's only wearing her socks, or she's barefoot. She's not wearing her shoes. And she just needs to get her shoes and put them on her feet, and then we can go. Okay, I just need to put on my shoes, and then we can go. If you say, I just need to wear my shoes, it's really confusing. It sounds really strange because it sounds like you're telling me that the appropriate dress code is shoes and nothing else. Okay, you know, I could say something like, if you are a nudist, you just have to wear shoes. Okay, you can go naked and just wear shoes only. Okay. I think there are a few different things where Filipino people make this sort of mistake. It's not just with wearing and putting on. Can I think of another example? I can't think of another example right now. But yes, wear and put on. This is one that I hear all the time from my wife. Okay. Okay, Elevix says, okay, this is new to me. Thanks regarding wear versus put on. Yeah, I hope you understand that because it really is noticeable when people make that mistake, and it can be quite confusing. Okay. So if anyone listening has any other questions, then please, now is the time to ask. I hope you've enjoyed today's stream. I'm going to stop just now unless you've got some more questions, because we've already been going for over an hour. This stream takes place every week at the same time. If you would like me to review your English, then please share with me a piece of your written English, or if you would like me to review your pronunciation, then share with me a recording, or either just an audio recording or a video recording. And next week, I will review your submission. Okay, if you follow the link in the description, you'll be able to share some work with me. If you want to work on your pronunciation, if you want to get better at your pronunciation, and specifically if you want to learn more about British pronunciation, then follow the other link in my description to my school, speakbritishenglish.academy. Okay, www.speakbritishenglish.academy. Okay, this is an online school where you can learn all about British pronunciation. If you become a member of the school, you will also be able to join my group classes that take place on Zoom every Sunday. Okay, same time as now, but on Sundays. And that's a Zoom class where we will actually be interacting face to face. Okay. So I haven't seen any more comments, so I'm going to stop there. But thanks again for coming. Make sure you come again next time. Make sure you come again next time. And yeah, have a good night. Have a good day. Goodbye.